Alright, I think it works now. The TV, is your audio in there or...
Oh, hi.
Okay, it's there. Alright, just checking.
Oh,
You keep them...
wow. Wait, that's what my voice sounds like?
It might be echoing because of the mic on my console. I don't know. Or my thing. I don't know how
Yeah,
to
it is
fix it.
echoing. And I'm like, wait, and I'm just like, wow, that's how I sound like?
I wish I knew how to fix it. I do not.
I'm just honestly surprised I'm this high pitched.
It's fine. Uh, let's see. I guess rip to people that watch this in the future because I don't know how to fix this thing.
So
Uh,
anyway, hello, world.
so I am joined by TV, and well, my friend's nickname on here is TV, and I am streaming this on YouTube. Uh, TV, you probably know how to find my thing, and you'll see what I'm streaming here in a moment. If you don't already hear like the noises, press it. Script next. Let me move on, for God's sake. We're playing Ace Attorney Investigation. I just picked it up, so that's what we're doing. I've been interested in playing this because, because like this was like the second Ace Attorney game I tried playing, and I didn't get further than like the first case when I was playing the game. I got the case 2 and then sort of stopped halfway in. We are going to use the HD sprites. I might use Pixel later, I don't know, but we are going to start with the HD ones. I'm gonna have to do voice things, great. This should be fun. Episode 1, Turnabout Visitor. March 14th, 1:16 a.m. We don't know where we are. To make sure the defendant is found guilty, what other choice do I have? That's the job of a prosecutor, after all. That may be true, but why? Why go this far? Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but a guilty verdict is all that matters to me. No matter what the cost. Ladies and gentlemen, our villain of the evening, Mr. Portsman. I'm a prodigy among prosecutors. Always have been, always will be. March 14th, 2:05 a.m. Prosecutor's Building, 12th floor hallway. For clarification for people that do not know, I have in fact played the original game, at least up to case 2. So I will know how the first case goes. I don't know all the elements of the cases in this game, unlike the first 4 games in the main series, because I've seen retrospectives of those. So I don't know a lot about investigations. So for once, I might be blind to some things that happen, but definitely not for the first and half of the second case. So here we go. Look, it's the main character. Hard to believe that I've been away from my office for a whole month. Hello, Ezra. Keep in mind, I am streaming. There may or may not be visible audio or something. I'm streaming on YouTube. You can check it later. I hope Detective Gumshoe has been keeping an eye on my office and keeping it clean. The door is unlocked. Detective Gumshoe? What's the smell? It's very familiar. Blood? Ezra's left. What the? What's the meaning of this? Freeze. Identify yourself. Shut up. You've got some nerve committing murder in a prosecutor's office. Is that a threat? Let me make one thing very clear. What? No one gets away with committing murder in my office. No one. My name is Miles Edgeworth, and I work as a prosecutor in my local district. Little did I know that upon my return home after a month abroad, I would be thrust into a multitude of cases in some very frantic and busy days. March 14th, 2:56 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202. I finished photographing the victim's body, sir. Very well. Please continue your investigation. Yes, sir! Ah! Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Are you okay, sir? Keep it down, detective. This is a crime scene. When I heard that a murder had taken place in your office, I ran up here straight away. This is Dick Gumshoe. He's a detective with the local precinct, and the one they assigned to handle this murder case for the time being. You're looking a little pale, sir. Are you hurt? No, I'm perfectly fine. However... Ah! Look what they did to your office! It's totally trashed! I'll say, the culprit sullied my floor with dirt rather well. No one gets away with tracking mud into my office. Whoa, sounds like you're getting really burned up over this whole thing. This crime was committed in my office, so it's my responsibility to solve it. Oh ho, that's just like you, Mr. Edgeworth. Okay, time to do some investigating. Agreed. Our first course of action is to gather relevant facts and leads. We must not overlook anything, no matter how small, if we are to find the truth. So I'll keep any leads or information we etch in the forefront of my mind. Speaking of things that pique my curiosity, why of all places did the murder occur in my office? I get the nagging feeling that this is something important to keep in mind. Yeah, I was wondering that myself, sir. I mean, you can't really say it's just a coincidence, can you? No, not really. Especially because of this. The key to your office? What do you mean, sir? If you think about it carefully and use logic, it should become clear to you. Logic? By finding the connection between two pieces of information and connecting them, new information is born. That is the end result of using logic. Yeah, that's also the best part about the investigations games. Edgeworth is not Phoenix. He does not just reach for wild conclusions and just bullshit his way out of a terrible situation. He defeats his enemies with facts and logic. And people wonder why this is my favorite character in the franchise, other than being really fancy. So, how do you use it? First, I recall the information we've gathered with this button, and then I connect them together with this button. Yeah, this is the tutorial. They're gonna use buttons for no reason. So, L1 and triangle, then. Now, to use L1 and recall the facts. My crime scene is the office, but they have a lock built in. For security reasons, all prosecutors' doors are outfitted with locks, which means it would have been hard for the murderer and the victim to get in here. Ergo, it's impossible to dismiss the location of this crime as mere coincidence. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, sir. There must be a reason why someone infiltrated my room. What was the killer after? You're really on the ball today, Mr. Edgeworth. That's some beautiful logic, sir. Yes, well, when you follow leads to their conclusion, only the truth remains. However, if the information doesn't line up properly, I may stray far from the truth as well. But if I think carefully before piecing leads together, the logic should flow. Well, let's get started with our investigation, shall we? Yes, sir. Begin investigation. The basis of any good investigation is to examine everything, sir. I know that. And when I want to examine something, I just use the action button when I'm next to it. Oh, if you ever feel lost and want to talk, just use the triangle button, okay? I'll give you great precise advice as an ace investigator, sir. Something to try later if I have free time, I suppose. Let me just check to make sure I can save, yeah. I'm gonna just, like, save, oh, I can't replace the autosave, okay. Well, we'll just put a save here first, just to be sure. Gameplay happens and some other things, that's nice. I don't think I can, like, alter, like, the text speed or anything like that. I also want to make sure that I can hear the people in my call properly. So, I'm just gonna alter it a little bit. I'm sorry I've been talking over you the whole time, TV.
It's okay. I'm just listening.
Okay, I'm hoping the movement is decent. Okay, so right stick sprints around, and okay, I can just walk normally, it's variable speed. They finished photographing the body, so it should be alright to examine the area. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Dude, there's blood on his hands. See here. There's blood all over his lower abdominal area. Looks like the bullet passed clean through his stomach area, sir. In other words, he was shot. Yep, Edge. Till the autopsy's done, I don't think we'll know much more than that. Please have the body sent to the morgue once they're done processing the crime scene. Are you gonna be okay with keeping track of the evidence we find, sir? Of course, this is the safest way I know to keep track of it all. Alright, if you say so. I keep all the evidence I find either in or with my organizer. When I want to re-examine a piece, I have to press R1 to open the organizer. But it is only for evidence. I keep profiles on hand too. Yeah, which currently we just have the victim and Gumshoe. It's probably a good idea to make a habit of checking the facts often. Not really much else that needs to be checked other than the books. Your files are all over the floor, sir. They probably fell during the struggle between the victim and his killer. Ah, and I tried so hard to keep this place spotless while you were away. I mean, this just rendered all the time and effort I put in pointless. I don't recall ever asking you to clean my room. Well, I water the flowers every day just like you requested, sir. I just added clean to the list as a weekend special. For about half a day every Saturday, I come in and clean this place so it sparkled. Does he have a life?
No, he doesn't. His life is simply to make sure the main characters are...
I don't believe it. I packed those files on these shelves so tight. Not even an earthquake can make them fall off, but just look at them. At this rate, the rest of the files won't be able to withstand an earthquake at all. A problem to be sure. Well, once the investigation's over, we'll put them back on the shelf. I think it's more important that we can see part of Gumshoe's name on this, but we can't explore that yet. Let me try to check the rest of the things. Chess. Ouch! They even knocked over your chess set! I had it all set up, ready for when you got back. Figured we could play a few games. I had no idea you were interested in chess. I'm actually pretty good at checkers, so I thought I'd give chess a try. In that case, I suppose I could set some time aside after we solve the case. Though I don't expect the games to tax my mental acuity that much. There's a gun. What have we here? Could this perhaps be the murder weapon? If so, it would mean that the killer made their escape after disposing of their gun here. I think I've seen one of these before. Care to enlighten me as to where? Oh, I know! I was issued the exact same model, I think. Detective. I don't really like guns all that much. I mean, they're really dangerous. But now that I think about it, you do see this model around the precinct a lot, sir. I don't use mine much except in emergency, so that's why I didn't recognize it. So it's the same type of revolver as the ones used by this precinct to every detectives. Why did I read that like that? Jesus, I'm starting to lose track of everything a little. Hope we can solve this case quickly. I'd like to return to relaxing on the sofa. That thing looks like a billion times softer than my mattress at home. Can I sit on it too, just for a little while, sir? Detective Gumshoe, you know I can't allow that. Until this case is solved, neither of us has time to spare, let alone rest. You're right, sir. I'm gonna work hard and be a real trooper to the end. Even once this case is over, I don't think he can afford to take any time off. Can I investigate the... How's it coming along? Please, I need absolute silence. Fingerprint lifting is delicate art. Well, I never... whatever. Hey, watch out for the teacup fragments there, sir. Ugh. That killer is going to pay. This tea set. Yikes, you're really mad over this. This tea set is very dear to my heart and can only be bought in England. It costs more than your whole month's paycheck. What? Now I feel like the killer's wasted one of my monthly paychecks. Jesus. You have anything to report? Sir, yes, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary right now, sir. And yet there's something out of the ordinary right in front of my eyes. Talk about a contradiction. Something out of the ordinary, huh? Should look around a bit more. Is there anything else I'm missing? I guess maybe the handprints. If I'm even able to... I can't really look that far, can I? It's not part of the things I could check, I think. It's been a while since I've sat at this desk. Oh, how I've missed you. So tight, it looks newer than when I first bought it. Oh yeah, that thing's so polished it makes mirrors jealous. Don't tell me you had no other work the entire time I was away, detective. My job is to protect your office, sir. And you did such a good job protecting it that a murder occurred in it. That's harsh, sir. I have to admit that this has never looked better, so I guess I can't dock its pay. Jesus, Edgeworth. Okay, I'm gonna save again, just because I'm going to attempt to do a logic thing here. And since logic is also the health bar of this game, I need to just check to be sure. Nope. Don't fit right. Of course. So that was a waste. I'm going backwards for that. Before people complain about me save scumming, I don't care. These games are not usually that forgiving. They weren't really that forgiving back in the day, last I checked. I want to check like my coat thing, but it won't let me. Am I missing something on the body? Oh, right, the wallet. I'm an idiot. What do we have here? Hey, I think I've seen one of these before. It's police badge, detective. Oh, hey, I have the exact same thing, actually. What a coinkydink. Let's take a look inside. Mr. Buddy Faith. It would appear that our victim was a detective just like you. I seem to have gathered a few pieces of pertinent information. Now I'll use some logic and figure out if any of them are connected to each other. Okay, now I can do the logic thing. So the detective and revolver thing. So the revolver is the detective's. The revolver, the standard model used by the detectives. Could it have belonged to our recently departed? Detective Gunshoe, could you please thoroughly check the victim's body one more time? Yes, sir. On it now, sir. Excuse me, pal. Let's see. What have we got here? Mr. Edgeworth, sir. This guy's wearing a gun holster. So it appears that our killer somehow managed to take the victim's gun from him. Let's see what else we can find out about this revolver. As I always say, you gotta look really carefully at each piece of evidence. You can use auto-rotate an object. There's no such thing as a bad angle. L1 and R1 is zoomed to get the nitty-gritty. It looks like only one round was fired from this. Wow, so the killer killed the victim with just one shot after wresting the gun from him? Sounds like the guy knew how to handle a gun, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? We have no proof for now, but that is a distinct possibility. I guess this is about all we're going to find out. Should send the body to, Jim! Why, oh why? How could this have happened to a guy like you? Are you alright? Don't touch me! Leave me alone! Just let me be! Sorry, but I can't do that. The investigation is still ongoing, so please refrain from touching the body. The body? The body? Don't talk about him like he's just a lump of flesh! Look at him. Jim looks like he's just turned in for the night. Sure. Just in a blood-stained suit, pal. Where are my manners? Aren't you that prosecutor? Why, yes I am. I'm Jack West Portsman, prosecutor. Jim here was my partner in crime busting. I'm Miles Edgeworth, and like you, I am also a prosecutor. Detective Dick Gumshoe, sir. So you're Miles Edgeworth. I guess this is your office. Yes, that is correct. Then it was you! You're the one who killed Jim! Hey, don't go jumping to conclusions, pal! Just calm down, okay? I will not! I know how things work around here! High prosecutor's office doors all have locks built into them. And only the owner of the office has the key to his or her own office door. That is correct. However, I was not the one who killed your partner. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth has been overseas on a business trip this whole time, pal. And the key to the door was with me the entire time, okay? So the only one who could get in here was me. Wait, that means... I'm not sure what that means. So it was you then! You're Jim's killer! No way, pal! You got it all wrong! Everyone calm down! Mr. Portsman, correct? If you're a real prosecutor, you should know to stay collected. The investigation's only just begun. Isn't it too early to be drawing conclusions? Alright, I get the point. You're right, my mistake. I tend to get a little too hot-headed sometimes. You sure are one cool customer, though, Mr. Edgeworth. I've heard all the rumors about you. You're the great genius prosecutor. You're something of a legend, you know? Anyway, let's call it truce and work together, okay? Now, how about a handshake to seal the deal? A pleasure to work with you. You guys were conducting your investigation, right? Sorry for barging in like that. Carry on then. It's your room after all. Thank you, I intend to. I just want a little more time to say goodbye to Jim. You there! Sir! I want you to capture this scene on film for me. My final farewell to my partner, Jim. I should probably give them some space. I love the little finger tap thing that Edgeworth does. Also, I'm glad they gave us some new sprites for this also. They're pretty expressive. And they let you use the pixel ones if you want to. Finally, I can get to looking at this. Ah, your jacket, sir! What's it doing on the floor? It must have fallen off the wall when the killer tried to threaten me by firing a round. So the killer not only shot the victim, but they shot your jacket as well? They dared to shoot the ultra-special jacket that you made your prosecutorial debut in. Fun fact, we see him wear that in a flashback case in Trials and Tribulations, which was the first Ace Attorney game I played. Unfortunately, I only did the first case of that game and didn't even get to the trial segment of the second case, because it was during middle school and I completely forgot to return to it. What if they had shot through it? It would have been a disaster. It's not worth getting worked up over, Detective. Not when there's something more here. Huh? Like what? I take it you haven't noticed it yet, Detective? There's a giant contradiction right here in front of us. Really? Did I say contradiction? He must be rubbing off on me. I'm starting to sound like him. But I have my own methods, and I will conduct this investigation my way. When the scene before me contradicts a piece of evidence, or seems off, that's when my deductive skills come into play. First, I have to find the spot that holds the contradiction. This is it. The bullet hole is where the contradiction is. When I spot something that's off, I should point my cursor at a pressed triangle with conviction. And when I found sufficient proof to prove the contradiction, I present it. This is how I do things. The contradiction is the revolver. Eureka! This bullet hole is the contradiction. What do you mean, sir? It's elementary. 2 shots were fired in this room. The first felled the victim, and the second felled this frame. Hey, that's right. However, this gun was only fired once. Hey, that's true too. which means that one of these two bullets was fired from a different gun. Did the killer have another gun prepared for tonight? By the way, I noticed something, sir. Yes? What's that thing sticking out from behind the frame? Ah, that. It's a secret safe. A secret safe? Oh, I smell money. I'll spare us the trouble and just say it. Nothing like what you're imagining is inside. Now, if you could kindly move this frame out of the way. Roger that. Talk about dusty. I suppose that's what happens when I'm not here to dust every once in a while. I had no idea there was a safe here. Would I have kept it clean for you, sir? So, when did you put this thing in? It wasn't something I had installed personally. Every prosecutor's office has one. Really? I had no idea. Well, only prosecutors are supposed to have knowledge of their existence. So, what's inside, Mr. Edgeworth? Right now, nothing. We only use them to source specially important evidence when a trial is in session. That's it. Talk about squashing my hopes and dreams. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Yeah, that would be the dust. Now this is odd. You found something, sir? This keypad, don't you find it to be a bit too clean? Yeah, there's a thick layer of dust all around it, but not on the keypad itself. You there, the forensic scientist. Yes, sir? Could you please dust this area for fingerprints? You got it, sir. I couldn't find, let alone lift, a single print. Looks like it was wiped down well. As I thought. It appears logic is the only way around this setback. Time to rationally and calmly connect the dots with the information we have. So this is the other one I was thinking of. Kira's goal and the wiped handprints. I believe I figured out what the murderer was after. Well, what is it, sir? The fact that the safe was wiped clean of fingerprints suggests that the criminal had at least attempted to open my safe. Making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. I wonder if knowing the motive behind the break-in was theft changes what the other pieces of information can tell me about the crime. I believe the signs of a struggle with the theft, especially since stuff was missing. There's a possibility the files splayed on the floor are not the result of a struggle between the victim and his killer. Oh, you mean like it could be from when the killer tried to find something, sir? Precisely. We need to figure out if any of the files have been stolen. Yes, sir, I'm gonna shelve files like you've never seen before, even at a library. Sure. Let's give that a try. Why do all the good ones always die young? Surely you must ponder that every once in a while, Mr. Edgeworth. No matter how much we lament, the dead will not come back to life. All we can do is search for the truth. And so, what are we supposed to do? How do we go about finding the truth? Hello, just discovered your channel. How you doing? I'm okay-ish. What do you think of the case so far? Hang on. I need a way to be able to see the stream chat. It only shows the chat for a bit for some reason. I wish it showed it for longer, unless it's in my broadcasting thing. I saw it for a second, but as for whoever joined, hello, thank you, welcome to the stream. I have a friend in a Discord call with me while I'm doing this. And as for my thoughts on the, first case, I do like it. I mentioned at the start of the case earlier, but I have in fact played the game before, since I emulated the DS original when I was in middle school. I have actually finished this one, especially when Gumshoe came right in. Yeah, I thought that Gumshoe right in was definitely like funny, but also like I would expect to see Gumshoe. He and Edgeworth are kind of they kind of work together a fair amount. First, we calmly restore the files to their rightful place. You got it. Here, let me help. So this file goes here, and that book goes there. You sure know a lot about where things go, despite it being Edgeworth's office. Because I'm the one who keeps it tight, pal. Okay, done. It would appear that the murder was definitely committed here. Oh, the bloodstains on the bookshelf are still fresh. I suspect that the victim was killed in a standing position, hence the prints on the shelf. And then the guy fell onto the floor, right? The blood on the floor is kind of grossing me out. Detective, I don't have the time to deal with your weak stomach right now. But you know I'm no good with blood, sir. I'm certain there's something wrong with this picture. Okay, I need to save again because even when I was first playing this game years ago, I remember this section had me stumped for a second. I don't care if people complain about me save scumming. Let's see. Victim's handprints. Mr. tried to support himself with his hands here after being shot. There are prints on the floor, too. Those must have been made when unable to stay standing and dropped to the floor. It appears the victim was in the same position here after being shot. Oh, so that's why the seat of the victim's pants has blood on it. That would be the logical conclusion. So this is where the bullet lodged itself after it went through the victim, huh? For the bullet to be lodged so squarely in a fine spine indicates the files were ransacked after the shooting had occurred. Then I guess the victim was moved because he was in the killer's way. Wrong portion. The killer moved the body because it was leaning against the bookshelf. The blood on this guy's pants proves that pretty well. In a sense, I suppose. See, I'm not completely useless, Mr. Edgeworth. I don't even remember what I was thinking. I put them all back just as they should be, sir. Doesn't look like anything's missing. Although it does look like the killer moved the body to flip through my shelves. I wonder if they found what they were looking for. I need to remember if anything is missing. There's a check mark over anything that's related. I need to check what's among my evidence here. Alright, I'm gonna save again and I'm going to assume that it's the body, the crime scene notes, and the placement here. So is this spot connected to any of the evidence I hold? Yeah, I presume the body. There's clearly a contradiction here with this bullet hole. What do you mean, sir? You don't see. Quite simply, the bullet hole itself is too low. If the victim was shot in the stomach, the hole should be much higher up. But what if the guy was shot while he was sitting or lying down, sir? That would be illogical. The victim leaned against this shelf here after being shot, which suggests he was standing when he was shot. Then that means... Wait, what does that mean, sir? It means you need to use your brain every once in a while instead of mine, detective. In any case, it means someone made a faulty assumption. And it was from this mistake that our current contradiction was born. What is this faulty assumption caused by the problem with the bullet hole's position? The order of the files. I believe the order of the files is a bit off. You mean I put them back in the wrong order just now? Hey, actually, I think the labels on the files are wrong, sir. Oh? Yeah, you see here, the files that were shot begin with the number 0. What are those doing all the way down there after 1, 2, and 3? That's really weird. Actually, the way they are organized now is the correct order. They're exactly as I see them in my mind's eye. But the numbers are all out of order. Those white binders are special, so they're arranged a little differently. But from this, we know the files were not in this order when the crime occurred. Aha, so that's it. I believe the killer made the same incorrect assumption as you just did, detective. Let's rearrange the files in numeral order and see what we find out. Do you think it'd be okay to prop the body back up to how it was before it was moved? They finished processing the crime scene, so I don't see why it shouldn't be. If you please, Detective Gumshoe. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it should logically be. The killer went through my files first before shooting Mr. Faith. And then put the files back in numeral order, I guess. Exactly, and then proceeded to shoot the victim. But why would someone kill a man and then look through your files one more time? Puzzling indeed. The files were thrown in disarray twice, once before and once after the crime. But why? Now the crime scene is as it was at the time of the murder. Time to give it another look. Bullet hole's now where it should logically be. And we figured out the killer went through your bookshelf twice. Indeed, there are many things the killer did that don't make sense. But to figure out why, we need more information. Figure out the whys. I misread that. This... What is that? Why does it say gumshoe on there in blood? I'd say that's some incredibly incriminating evidence. Yes, indicative of criminal activity, indeed. No, wait, there's gotta be some mistake! Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me! Say something, sir! It appears that one of my files was stolen. Is that all, sir? What about me and my situation? Is that what the killer was really after? The stolen file. Investigation complete. Looks like Jim was able to leave us the name of his killer in the end. And this most important message managed to reach us. I'm telling you, it wasn't me! You can't be terribly pleased to hear that your beloved partner is the guilty party. If you are going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up. Jim's words, and they're more than enough, wouldn't you say? If that's how you want to play it, then at least allow me to understand your reasoning. You got it. I don't like this one bit. There's something strange about this man's attitude. Yeah, no duh, it's cause he's the killer. I'm sorry, but everyone who's played this game has seen the intro cutscene, and everyone will recognize Portsman, so it's obvious he's the culprit. Last I checked, the first game's trials almost always make the killer obvious. I feel like the only case where we're not actually shown the killer in the first case is like Trials and Tribulations Case 1. And even then, the culprit does become kind of obvious after a point. It's the first case. And there must be some sort of flaw to his logic waiting for me to dig out. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you going to do? What I always do in court. I'm going to cross-examine him. One way or another, I'll expose the flaw in his logic with this technique. Oh, how do you do that? Can you explain to me, sir? Might as well. Alright, first, I listen to the witness's testimony. If I find a flaw in the testimony, something that contradicts the evidence, I open my organizer and present the piece of contradictory evidence. To present something, I use triangle, but that's old news. But it's not like there's going to be a flaw in their testimony every time, right? Correct, and at those times, I need to press the witness with a 1. Sometimes by pressing, I can draw out new information and new or modified testimony. I think I get it, sir. I'll be sure to try this technique out during investigations too. Very well, I'll even show you how it's done. Now watch carefully. Mr. Portsman's logic. I'm gonna just save here as well because now we're in classic Ace Attorney gameplay. Most people should be aware of how Ace Attorney works. We listen to the testimony and we call them out on their lies. Alright, let's do this. Argument time. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Furthermore, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. And it will be by his final words that you will be brought to justice. You intend to argue the victim's dying message points to his killer. I can hear Jim's voice and he's calling for his killer's arrest. Are you sure you're not mishearing his words, Mr. Portsman? There's no way Detective Gumshoe is the culprit here. I will find the flaw in this man's logic and expose it with credible evidence. Okay. I've not played this first case in years. I've watched gameplay, but that's like later on, so I need to like figure out things. I'm not gonna press everything though. When the body was moved. You didn't notice the bloody letters. Hold up, I'm gonna save again, because saving at the start of the testimony is probably not the most helpful, especially if I want to resume. This man says that he didn't notice the bloody letters. But we're missing a file, and part of the file has the name. If he's the killer and he stole the file, how would he not see the name? Objection! Objection! Perhaps you're not aware, Mr. Portsman, but there's a serious flaw in your logic. Heh, bringing a bit of courtroom into this, I see. No problem, I'm game. I can't help but find it odd. Excuse me? I thought that fellow prosecutor would be brought down by the power of his own office. What are you talking about? Oh, you're joking, I get it. If you have the time to laugh, then you have the time to take another closer look at this. Oh right, we get new arrangements for the music also. Do you still not see? If not, may I direct your attention to the missing file? What? That's impossible! What's impossible, Mr. Portsman? Nothing. The file is on that shelf for all about a certain case. When the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner, I highly doubt they could have missed the bloody letters written on the spine. Objection! It's possible they could have taken the file before committing the murder. I think it's pretty obvious the file was stolen after it was written on. The missing letters in the detective's name where the file should be is proof. Yeah, I mean the S is gone and there's only like half an H. If Detective Gumshoe really was the culprit of this case, I highly doubt that even he could overlook his own name written in blood on the files. Especially as a detective who can't stand the sight of blood. Which means what exactly? What does that make this dying message? It makes it the work of criminal intent on tampering with the crime scene. That's so low! I can't believe the criminal tried to pin this whole thing on me, sir! I'm gonna get him, sir! You'll see! I'm gonna have them under arrest in no time! Well, Mr. Portsman? Brilliant! Absolutely splendid! Logic deserving of Olympic gold. I appreciate the praise, but it doesn't change the fact your reasoning is flawed. You win some, you lose some. That's how life goes. Glad everyone's so cheery, even though I feel more dead than alive. But, you know, it really is a shame. I really didn't want to have to bring this up, however. What is it this time? Are you still after me, pal? Humor me for a second. Who has the key to this office? That would be me. But Mr. Edgeworth just proved I'm innocent, pal.
I mean,
That-
in theory, what's stopping someone from just claiming that they're the one keeping an eye on the office and asking for a replacement?
I don't think they have replacement keys, TV, but that's not the point they're getting at. That's absolutely right, and I acknowledge your innocence. Then why do I sense that you still have something to say? Stop preening your jacket, prick! Well, I was thinking, did you know there's one other person with a key to this office? One other person? Hey, you there! Yes, sir? What is it, sir? Would you kindly fetch and escort that lovely young lady here for me? A lady? The girl is a member of this building's security. Think of her as a material witness. Security? Did you say security? No, stop it, pal! Don't! What's wrong with him all of a sudden? I believe she needs no introduction. I have called upon Miss Maggie Bird, a member of security. Detective Gumshoe, sir. Maggie! Miss Bird is the security guard on watch tonight. I see, and your point is? My point is that she could have very well used it. And by it, I mean the master key, which can open all the office doors in this building. What? If you're not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person with access to this room is Miss Bird. How dare you! I would never sneak into someone's room! That's right, I refuse to believe Maggie's the culprit, pal! It was me, that's right, I did it! Can we take that as a confession, Detective? Well, it wasn't really me, but it definitely wasn't Maggie, pal! So yeah, it was me. If it is, you have no problems with that, right? Please refrain from flying off the handle, Detective. There's no need for such theatrics. Listen to your boss, Detective. He understands what I'm saying here. That girl is the only one who could have committed the crime. And for one simple reason. More testimony. Reason for suspicion. It's pretty obvious Miss Bird snuck into your room using the master key. I mean, if Detective Gumshoe wasn't the one who opened the door, then that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect. On top of which, she knows that we're a good detective, doesn't she? Make it all the more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message. So, you're saying she used the master key. Incredibly incriminating evidence, wouldn't you say? That's what you claimed about the evidence earlier as well. That was then, this is now. The flow of a good match always comes, or changes during a rally. It's all about your reflexes and reaction time, especially for an athlete like me. I wonder if there was anyone else other than Miss Bird who could use the master key. Seems the only way to get Mr. Portsman to give me details is to press him. Right, time for the standard method of doing anything in an Ace Attorney game. Press everything. It's pretty obvious Miss Bird snuck into your room using the master key. Hold it! Are you sure Miss Bird is the only member of security who could have used the master key? There's only one person on staff at this time of night, and tonight she's it. Isn't that right, Miss Bird? That's, true, but I wasn't able to use the master key at the time of the crime, sir. Wasn't able to? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, moving on. I think you get sidetracked by something unrelated. What do you mean unrelated? I want to hear what she has to say, pal. But you can't really trust her not to tell lies, plus I hate wasting time. Should I hear her out? Yes, add the details. Not so fast. I too am interested in hearing what Miss Bird has to say. Didn't I just say it'd be a waste of time? We don't need to hear her lies. I'll be the judge of that. Miss Bird, if you please. I discovered that the master key was missing at around 1 a.m., sir. What do you mean by missing? As in, it wasn't anywhere in the security booth, sir. The killer must have stolen it. Mr. Portsman, I believe this to be an important piece of testimony, don't you? I can't believe that someone like you would be taken in by such words. I'm not lying, sir. Objection. If that's the case, then I'd like to know why you have the master key now. I don't quite know. It just reappeared all of a sudden, sir. Ha! A likely story. And where's your proof that the key was stolen to begin with? I bet you just forgot where you put it and then found it again. I never lose things. I can practically guarantee that. With me, if something disappears, it's usually because someone stole it. Yeah, pal. Trust me, you don't want to test just how bad her luck is. Unfortunately, I can't deem this piece of testimony as conclusive. So, a quick thing about Maggie. First of all, she was a character introduced in Justice for All, which is the second game. And her name is based on the magpie bird, which is notorious for being like a bad luck symbol. And more importantly, she's been accused of murder like twice, because she was the not the culprit, she was the accused in the first case of trial of Justice for All. And then she was the accused of Trials and Tribulations case 3. So yeah, she has terrible luck. She keeps getting accused of stuff, and this is the third time she's getting accused of murder. Glad you agree, Mr. Edgeworth. Ugh. But, you still haven't established Maggie's motive for breaking into Mr. Edgeworth's office. Her motive? Didn't we already establish that it was theft? I mean, the culprit clearly went through the bookshelves and at least tried the safe. It's as Mr. Portsman says, Detective. I can't ignore the fact that the evidence points towards a motive of theft. But I'm done taking blows. It's time to counterattack with a few facts of my own. Her intent from the things, I'd say thievery. Hang on. I don't know if the thing being... Oh, wait, hold it, right. Isn't the safe empty? Yeah, the safes are empty, and security's not allowed to know about it, so... If it's secret, then... Objection! Do you wish to continue insisting Miss Berg was set on stealing something? Why not? It's the truth, after all. It was also by your logic that we came to the whole thievery conclusion anyway. That may be, but you must also be aware of the fact that the safe is a secret safe. The existence of which is only privy to prosecutors. Ah! I find it a little hard to believe that a hidden safe was a part of her cunning plan. But she could have found it by accident while she was turning everything else upside down. I highly doubt that. I say the culprit knew exactly what they were looking for. After all, only the bookshelf and the safe were targeted. Ugh. Yeah, even I didn't know about that safe, pal. And that means there's no way Maggie could have known about it either. Then are you proposing that the killer is a prosecutor? Interesting conclusion. That's definitely looking more and more probable. Yeah, that face you're making totally doesn't yell, I'm suspicious, pal. What's wrong, prosecutor? Do you have a different suspect in mind now? Curses! Why? What made you... What's with the angry face all of a sudden? It's all my fault! What do you mean? It's Jim. He knew about the existence of the secret safes. What did you just say? We were partners, like inseparable conjoined twins. That's why I told him. I filled him in on the secret safes. Then that means... Yeah, I know. I had only just told him too. Obviously it was wrong of me to tell him. Still can't quite believe it, but the thief who broke into your room was probably Jim. Now he's claiming the victim was the thief. And you were simply trying to stop him, weren't you, Miss Maggie Bird? Excuse me? I mean, you are a security guard, right? That's your job. But killing is going a bit too far, even in your risky profession. What the? You're still accusing Maggie of the murder? Yes and no. I mean, she stumbled upon Jim, who had probably drawn his gun. I get it, it was self-defense, wasn't it? No! I could never do something like that. Not even as a security guard, sir. Plus, even if he was the thief, he wouldn't have a key to his office. Which is precisely why he had to steal it, when you say. It was Jim who stole the master key. Ah! Pretty impossible for a supposedly stolen key to be here with us, unless... Well, unless you retrieved it from Jim after you killed him. Mr. Portsman, are you honestly accusing your own partner of being a thief? I don't want to admit it, but it's the only way for everything else to make sense. Has he no honor? Now then, I think we're done here.
No honor, I say we feed him to the dog.
Well, we need evidence to sink him first. The investigation waits for no man. Would you people be so kind as to see yourselves out? You can't kick us out, this is Mr. Edgeworth's office! Ah, but I'm the one who's been assigned to this case. You are all suspects to varying degrees, and therefore ineligible to run this show. Listen, pal, how many times do I have to say this? Maggie can't be the culprit! Detective Gumshoe, calm yourself. But sir, we've no choice but to accommodate his request. For now. Ha! Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. At least one of you understands. Now then, if you could remove yourselves from my crime scene, I'd be most grateful. Mark my words, Mr. Portsman, we will meet again. If that's a formal request from the legendary prosecutor himself, then I suppose so. Now, don't disappoint me, you hear? To be continued, because that's the midpoint of the case. March 14th, 4:18 a.m. Prosecutor's building, 12th floor hallway. What is with that prosecutor? I can't believe how rude he was. It was unbelievable. Please maintain your professionalism, detective. I'm gonna find some real solid evidence proving Maggie's innocence. You'll see, sir. But we've been kicked off the crime scene, sir. True. So then what now? Looks like my life's fallen to yet another gigantic ditch. Do not despair, Miss Bird. We can overcome this as well. There are many other places and things we should be looking into anyway. Really, sir? For example, this hallway. The linchpin of his argument against Miss Bird is related to the master key. In that case, this hallway is the perfect place to look for more information. Regarding the mystery surrounding my door. Okay. I wasn't rested, so I suspect every suspicious looking thing. I don't see any signs of forced entry. And according to the guard, no signs that the lock was picked either, sir. I mean, the door really was opened with a key. Did you happen to ask if any prints were lifted from the doorknob? Apparently, the doorknob's clean as a whistle. Wiped, they think. Whoever this thief is, they did a good job of not leaving any clues behind. 1202. These are the four numbers of the plate alone proclaiming this to me on officer. Whoops. Hey, these number plates fly right out, sir. They have to be able to take the plate off when a room becomes vacant, you know. Although, the idea that it can be so easily removed is kind of minimalist yet classy door made of top quality wood. Certainly made, make it near impossible to break in by force. It's almost majestic, sir. I wish I could be as stately as this door. Only Gumshoe praised the door as something greater than himself. Being a detective has its own rewards, a certain virtuous value, I think. If you live up to your full potential, that's a poignant trait anyone could admire. I see. So you're saying, sir, that me being me is the best thing I can do for everyone? Right. That long pause was exactly reassuring, sir. Well, that's everything for the door here. This is also important. Yeah, the suspicious thing is here. It's... Ah, is it not the missing Zero Series file, sir? No doubt about it. The bloody letters marked it clear as day. There seem to be a few pages missing. Our thief took only what was necessary and left the rest behind. So, what are these Zero files about, sir? I guess they got something worth stealing in them, huh? Not particularly. It's just a collection of court case files. However, the cases within these files are not mine. Huh? They belong to the High Prosecutor that used to occupy my current office. I have my reasons, but let's just say I was charged with keeping them as they were. Then that means the thief must have also wanted the file for a specific reason, right? It would seem so. Only the pages related to that case from 10 years ago are missing. I wonder why anyone would care about such an old case. What is a basketball doing here? That's his reports his prized possession, sir. I heard he also plays soccer, dodgeball, and even tennis. And not a single one of those sports is suitable to be played in a hallway. What's Payne doing here? I remember Payne being the original, so I don't know what he's doing here. Looks like you're in quite the pinch, Mr. Edgeworth. To be sure, a murder within the walls of the prosecutor's office is no trifling matter. You must find, apprehend, and punish the killer accordingly post-haste. Sounds like a messy case you got on your hands. If you ever feel lost or need some advice, my door is always open. How gracious, I'll keep your offer in mind. Who is this guy again? Of course no one remembers Payne. What is the basketball hoop doing here? Hey, didn't this used to be just outside next to a building a long time ago? So when and why was it moved indoors? I don't remember exactly, but I saw one of the officers drag it up here recently. Drag it? I heard that it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so the poor guy had to bring it in himself. All the way up to the 12th floor. This office. 1203, 1203. Hey Maggie, whose room is this again? It's Mr. Portsman, sir. So he's my new neighbor, I see. I suppose he moved in while I was away overseas? I'm gonna speak to Maggie now. I was wondering if I may speak with you for a bit concerning this case. I've always been a big fan of the courtroom, but this is like a dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth. Can't let this chance pass me by. Must remember to ask her about the master key. She'll jog her memory by showing my notes to her. So, when did you discover the master key was missing? By the time I realized it, I think it was around 1 a.m., sir. And I noticed it was back at around 2:30 a.m. It was just sitting there on the ledge where the security room's reception window is. But I'm sure that between those two times, it was not just gone, but stolen, sir. Why is such an important key stored in such an insecure place? It's not like that, sir. We always keep the key further inside the room, away from the window. Always, you say. Except for this time, correct? Well, I admit it was a bit careless, but I had my reasons. I left it out because I was sort of using it at the time. It was after I'd used it that I left it sitting out on the ledge. She used the master key. What did you mean by you used the master key? Oh, I had to use it to open the door for this prosecutor who forgot his key. I mean, it's my job as a security guard, right? What is it? That's right, I just remembered! The prosecutor who forgot his key. It was Mr. Portsman, sir. What? Please tell me more, Miss Bird. Quickly. It was around 12 a.m. Mr. Portsman had forgotten his office key, so he came down to security, sir. And that's when you loaned the master key to him. No way! It was against regulations to loan the master key out to anyone. I walked with Mr. Portsman to his office and opened the door for him personally, sir. I see. And then what happened after that? Well, he called for me to come close up his office as he was leaving to go home. That was around 1:30 a.m., I think. So in summary, for the sake of one forgetful prosecutor, you used the master key twice tonight. Talk about suspicious. I doubt you can say that you've never left your keys at home, Detective. I think this calls for a thorough examination of Mr. Portsman's door. Anything else? Have you ever met the victim before? Well, I've seen him a couple of times before when I had to go to Mr. Portsman's office. Mr. Faith was always playing basketball with Mr. Portsman, sir. That sounds like fun. Just once I'd have loved to play with him. It sounds fun, but the only person ever taking a shot was Mr. Portsman. All Mr. Faith ever did was pass him the ball, sir. On second thought, I don't think I'd fit in at all with him. Miss Maggie Bird, correct? I take it you're an acquaintance of the detective. She was under my supervision back when she was still on the force, sir. One day, she got caught up in a murder and things started going downhill, so she quit. But I owe a lot to Detective Gumshoe for introducing me to my current employer. Or so I thought until a few hours ago. Right before I was about to clock out for the night. You got caught up in this whirlwind of a case, correct? Don't worry, my whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failures. Since I was 6 months old, when I fell from the ninth floor of my apartment building, I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gone sick from all sorts of foods, failed in almost every test I've taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster, and now I've even managed to be named a criminal just when I become a security guard. That's a lot to go through in one lifetime. I know, and just when I thought I finally found my happiness, I wind up getting you and Detective Gumshoe involved in my bad luck. You don't need to worry about me, Miss Bird, nor do you need to worry about yourself. I'll solve this case and prove your innocence. All I ask in return is your cooperation. Yes, sir, Mr. Edgeworth, you can count on me. I'll do all I can to help. Alright, let's check Portsman again. The door is locked tight. But the old credit card trick wouldn't work here, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? This is the office of a high prosecutor, detective. These doors would be pretty ineffective. The average cat burglar can get in through them. Aha! So I guess only a great cat burglar could get in. That must be who our culprit is. Might I advise you return that conclusion to whatever pawn shop you buy it from. Room 1203. I take it this is Portsman's office? Yeah, you can't mistake it because of that basketball hoop, sir. Oh, that reminds me. Mr. Portsman actually wanted room 1202 really badly. But since you already occupy it, Mr. Edgeworth, we put him next door, sir. So why was Mr. Portsman so particular about getting room 1202? I'm not sure, but I bet it's because of something like his birthday is December 2nd? Yep, that's gotta be it. Can't think of another reason why. I can think of at least 3. Why am I even wasting time thinking of this? Minimalistic, classy door. Mr. Portsman seems to find just because he works behind one of these. Nonsense. A man doesn't become more or less dignified because of where he works. Well, he still seems more dignified than Mr. Payne. Mr. Payne, I suppose that custodial work can also be dignified. Mr. Payne's not... Winston Payne's not a custodian, right? Mr. Portsman's first little basketball hoop. Can't believe he put something like this in the hallway of a prosecutor's office. But you know, it's actually pretty useful, sir. I haven't gotten lost trying to get to your office since it's been here. How long have I had the same office, and yet you still managed to get lost? Isn't there supposed to be, like, another hint thing somewhere nearby? Is everything alright? Yes, sir. If you must know, I weighed myself this morning. I'm finally at 154 pounds. Congratulations, but I was asking about this hallway in the room. Oh, everything's okay, sir. A word of advice, stay focused or you might start to lose even more weight. I'm trying to keep track of something. I feel like I'm supposed to be able to, like, scan the bottom of the door here. I know I'm usually supposed to, like, check the bottom of the door. I don't have new evidence, right? I might be forced to do logic here. Probably. Alright, if this is a logic instance, then time to start checking that. The Muse Master Key and then it being stolen? Yep. Miss Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story. What? No way, pal! I mean, sir! You said you locked up Mr. Portsman's office at around 1:30 a.m., correct? But the Master Key had already been stolen at that time. Wow, nothing gets by you, Mr. Edgeworth. You saw that contradiction like a pro. I totally forgot about that, but thanks to you, I remember it now. You're right, it was around that time that I realized the key was missing. And? Well, I'm a security guard, sir. I couldn't just admit to losing the Master Key, could I? So I pretended to lock up his room, sir. You pretended? Yeah, I used my house key and made it look like I was locking up, sir. So in actuality, you never did relock the door then. Well, I thought that maybe I could go lock it after I found the key. Come to think of it, I guess the door still hasn't been locked properly. So, let's see, it hasn't been locked. Hang on. Wait a minute. Wait, no, if it says that's already been checked, then it's not it. Everything suspicious is what needs to be checked. I think it's the doorknob and the fact that it's still unlocked. There's a contradiction here between reality and the evidence. If what Miss Bird says is true, why is the door locked tight? Huh? You know, you're right. Miss Bird, are you sure you didn't relock this door? I'm certain of it, sir. And I don't think Mr. Portsman knows himself that I hadn't. Which means what, sir? It either means he actually does have the key to his office, or that the door Miss Bird opened wasn't this one at all, but a completely different one. She opened a different door? But how can you prove that? There's an easy way to find out. All we need to do is, we need to examine these. We need to figure out how to open the right one. Examine the print on the doorknob, I think. I'm gonna save again really quickly. I forgot it's one of these selection options. Checking the prints on the number plate. I don't think that does anything here. The knob? The prints on the doorknob will tell us everything. Hey you, yeah you pal, do us a favor, see what you can lift for this, okay? So, what'd you find out? There's no need for such belligerent nostril flaring, detective. Sir, I found only Mr. Portsman and Mr. Faith's print on the knob. So only two people's prints were found on this, huh? That's pretty decisive. Huh? I'm lost, sir. Thinking logically, a certain other person's print should be on the knob. Whose print should also be on this? Maggie, if she was the one to open it, or fake lock it.
Take that!
Take that! Don't you find it odd the prints of the person who unlocked this door are absent? You mean... Yes, the door that Miss Bird opened could not have been this one, but a different one. What have we here? More stuff that needs to be checked. First of all, evidence. What's this? Looks like a scrap of paper. I'll get it, sir. Let's see. Oh, there's something written on it. I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about on the phone, but it looks like you're out. Guess I'll catch up with you later, buddy. Looks like a note from the victim. Yeah, it's for Mr. Portsman. Then there's this. What's this? What are you looking at, sir? Oh, hey, how about a game? That's okay, detective. I just found the position of this hoop to be a little off. Hey, you're right, sir. I guess it shifted when someone made a seriously sweet slam dunk. The positioning of the hoop is definitely unnatural. I better take note of this. Investigation complete. Again. Poking around this hallway's actually paid off quite handsomely. Huh? How so, sir? In a variety of different ways. I think it's time we had a little chat with the real culprit of this case. You know who the killer is? Wow, Mr. Edgeworth. As long as my logic is sound, then yes. The mastermind behind this murder is none other than Mr. Portsman. What? Mr. Portsman? I knew it! That's exactly what my logic senses were telling me too! I suspected it was him from the instant he accused Maggie of being the killer, sir. That is anything but logical. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves. Come what may, it's time to knock on truth's door. March 14th, 5:12 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, Room 1202. Mr. Portsman, I finished processing the bloody letter, sir. Alright, let me take a gander at it. Pass it here. Okay, looking good. You there, take good care of this. Grub! Well, if it isn't Detective Gumshoe. End of the line for you, Portsman. We've got you now. Call off your dog, Mr. Edgeworth. Is there some kind of joke? It's no joke. We know, Mr. Jack West Portman, that you are the guilty party in this case. Huh? You must be pretty upset getting chased out of your own room. I'd be mad too. So, I guess you could stay if you promise to stay out of our way. You intend to hide your crime under the guise of a prosecutor doing his job. I can see right through the unsightly paper-thin mask you wear upon your cowl. Who'd have ever thought it would come to this? Actually, come to think of it, your mentor was Manfred von Karma, right? The legendary prosecutor who never lost a single case for 40 long years. But there was always this incessant chatter about forged evidence with that guy. Really teaches me I gotta stay on the lookout for false accusations, you know? Are you done trying to play mind games with me, because they won't work? The only thing you should be using that mouth of yours for now is explaining yourself. Although that too will only dig your hole deeper. Either way, your game is up. Well, aren't we full of ourselves, even though you've yet to prove anything? Mr. Portsman's rebuttal. Testimony time. I've no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how may I ask do you propose I unlock your door and got in here? Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here. Sorry, but we are not finished yet. Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusations on something? I'll show you what I'm basing my accusation on. With evidence. So, yeah, we know that Portsman opened the door. Or we know he had a way to open the door. As for how he opened the door, master key. And how that works is because of Maggie. So, master key. Objection! You stupid idiot! I believe you were able to open my office door with the master key, no less. Objection! Wait, hold on a sec. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know. Precisely, you were able to open my door without lifting a single finger. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. That's right, you used your finger to direct this person to open the door. Take that! Take that! You had to ask Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes? Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know. But the room you had Miss Bird open at the time was not your own, was it? What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask the girl herself whose door she opened, shall we? I'm certain it was Mr. Portsman's door, sir. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. See, Miss Bird backs up my story. Yet, what if you'd misled her to fool her into thinking you what you wanted? And how do you suppose I did that? By switching the number plates on our doors, for example. That's right, they do slide out pretty easily. Furthermore, you then use one other thing to give the very strong impression that the door she was opening was yours, and not, in fact, mine. What was it Mr. Portsman used to make Miss Bird think it was opening his room? Oh, right stick to shift. Okay. Take that! What? The basketball hoop, sir? It's quite the peculiar fixture in any hallway, let alone a hallway in this building. Which is why it left an unusually strong impression on you. It's an object perfectly certain to sit just outside the office of a peculiar prosecutor. Gah! That's very true, sir, because there was a basketball hoop sitting there. I thought the door I was opening had to be Mr. Portsman's. There are signs that the hoop has been moved. To sit in front of my office, to be sure. I see. So that's how you throw suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the racetrack. Conjecture's rebuttal. Now you're just spouting nonsense! I had the girl open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me. So he intends to claim his innocence to the end, does he? I'm as pure and innocent as my jacket, and Miss Bird is as dirty and guilty as the jacket she wears. My jacket's not dirty! I'll have you know, I just washed it yesterday. Please calm down, for I intend to show who is the one truly covered in slime here. Brilliant! Now we get to debunk another obvious lie. I don't know why I'm being told of the same message that I got earlier. I saw that message earlier today already. And live chat's not showing anything different. Why did it just replay the same message? That's strange. Anyways, let's move on. So, yeah, I think the contradiction here is, oh, I was in my room the whole time. We have a message stating that he was not in his room. I was in my room the entire time. Yeah, I'm gonna just save to be sure, because I do technically have a message. I was in my room the entire time. Yeah, no, BS. Objection! You are stupid as hell. That was a lie. What are you talking about? How was that a lie? This is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman. A note? It was left under your door, or did you not notice? And right here it says, but you're out. You were not in your room when the victim came to call on you. So then, where were you and what were you doing? Ah! Shall I explain in full detail for you? You were busy snooping around in my room, the very room you had Miss Bird open for you. Objection! That's just nonsense. You have no evidence that I made the girl open your door for me. Oh, but I do. I have very decisive evidence. No way! This is proof positive you had Miss Bird open the door for you. Okay, the proof that...
Wait, can I just say that that guy just leaned back so damn far? Like,
yeah, that's his damage thing, basically, from when you're catching him in a lie. Anyways, the evidence is that his office doesn't have a print. Take that! I had your door dusted for prints. My door? What for?
you were under arrest.
Yes, you're under arrest because you killed someone you thought you could get away with it. What for? Come on, I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right, I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints! Her prints? What do they have to do with anything? Let's put it in this way. If she really was the one who opened your door, her print should naturally be on the doorknob she touched. Ah! Furthermore, all the prints on my office doorknob have been wiped clean off. I can only assume it's because Miss Bird's fingerprints were on it. Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me, and Detective Faith found you out, possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faith to silence him. And I had the misfortune to return when I did. You had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office. Hmm? And just what's so funny, pal? Well, that look of stiff seriousness on the face of the office's finest prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else like it in the world. What? Mr. Edgeworth just explained it all and he even backed it up. You're the murderer! Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already! And as I said earlier, it's also circumstantial, so full of conjecture. And you say you checked my doorknob for prints. Well, I can readily confess that I had wiped the knob down pretty well. Eh? I'm a little obsessive compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched, which is why I wiped the doorknob down as soon as I could have after you opened the door. After that, it makes perfect sense only Jim and my own prints would be on there. You made that up just now, didn't you? Furthermore, as for the note Jim left for me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it there before I arrived at the office. Like early evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail at times. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, although that's no excuse. Now that's just a flat-out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size. But you can't prove that, can you? Say something, Mr. Edgeworth! Back me up here, sir! Ugh! Portsman makes a good point. I can't prove that you didn't simply overlook it. Yeah, that's the problem. Portsman is bad at lying, but he's still saying some things that make a little bit of sense. Technically, yes, you can't prove that he didn't see something, because that's only something that he would know. You can't prove, like, an observation made by someone else. It's their observation. You can't prove that someone did or didn't see something, technically. At least, like, the idea that, like, he, could have missed a note. Even a note at that size, he could have missed it, technically. That's not out of the ruling, right? Right? Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Airtight, you say? I only just realized I had it when we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all of us if I had told you sooner. An alibi now. Portsman's alibi. If memory serves, you came back to this office around 2 a.m., correct? And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs. Ask around, I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. Do you really think it's that perfect? Like I said, I don't care. Ask around all you like. You'll see for yourself. Detective Gumshoe. Sir, yes, sir. I'll go check out his alibi, sir. Be right back. Ah, damn it! Mr. Edgeworth, sir, I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portsman said. The guys down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 a.m. You see? All the evidence points to him being the culprit. So there must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere. Sorry, Edgeworth, but there isn't. I've played this case, and, yeah, this testimony is basically filler. You're pretty much just expected to press every statement here. You can't actually contradict anything here. You're not allowed to. There's nothing wrong with his alibi. If memory serves, he came back to the office at 2. Hold it! We're pressing everything again. You're correct, it was around 2 a.m. Are you sure? It's really important to me that you're spot on with the time. I remember checking my watch then, and make no mistake, it was 2. Oh, giving testimony like a pro. Okay, so you came back to your office at 2. And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. Hold it! It's as you say, however. Yes, however, you're the only one who claims to have bumped into the culprit. So tell me, did you see the person's face? Was it me you saw? It was pitch black, so I couldn't actually see. Objection! Oh, come now. I'm sure you saw something. Try a little harder, why don't you? I'm beginning to feel like I'm the one being interrogated here. Oh well, it doesn't matter if you remember or not. It only matters that you ran into the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs. Shut up. So you paid the criminal affairs department a visit. Yep, right after I left the prosecutor's building, I head straight for the precinct. Ask around, I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's a perfect alibi. Hold it! Well, we did go and ask to confirm your testimony. And it was just as I said, right? Yes, sir. A number of detectives said that they saw you at around that time. See? I have the perfect alibi. That's the ace I had up my sleeve. Ah! Impossible! He actually does have the perfect alibi! Yeah, this segment you kind of just have to go through. And this is part of like the contradiction of this case, which is the fact that we still know that there were technically 2 guns visible here, because 2 shots were fired, but the murder weapon, which should be Mr. Faith's gun, only has 1 bullet missing. All this time has passed, and they've not addressed the fact that there were 2 guns. So, yeah, there could have been 2 people here in the office at once. What's wrong? Why the sullen look on your face? Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we've reached the end of the line, and it's time to get off this crazy train. You there, sir. Please escort the young lady out, but remember, be gentle. Maggie! Detective Gumshoe! Is there nothing I can do? There must be a way to turn the situation around. If only I had a clue. Did I miss something that can help me cast down his alibi? I need to calmly think this through, one more time, and with logic. Alright.
Wait, so he had the perfect alibi, and there were 2 guns.
I'm trying to think which ones are the ones that link here. Other than the one that was found, there could be another gunplay, technically. The true I might could not have been Horseman. I need to figure out which of these ones will link again. I think it's the fact that the files were in disarray and the...
Wait, let's check the alibi and then see if we can try to link that with anything else.
Okay, well I could...
Once before and after the murder.
I could try the alibi in the handgun.
Who could it have been?
I'm gonna try... It doesn't matter, I can mix them all around. I should be able to. I have the time. Okay, yeah, I was on the right track here. There were 2 bullets left at the scene of the crime. One that robbed Mr. Faith of his life. And one that nearly robbed me of my jacket. However, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once. I mean, that's entirely possible that second gun was used in my office tonight. But seeing as how the killer had to steal Mr. Faith's gun, I doubt the killer had another gun up their sleeve. Therefore, the second gun could have been the property of an entirely different person. Which could mean there was another person who paid a visit to my office tonight. If the victim, or if the killer and the visitor are separate, then that explains the files. Supposing there was yet another visitor tonight, that would also resolve the issue of why my shelves were upended twice. You know, the shelves were disturbed once before and once after the murder, so it shouldn't be much of a stretch to think that this was the work of 2 different people. Once by the person who stole the victim's gun and then killed him with it, and once again after the murder by a second culprit, who was the owner of the second gun. If we suppose that the second culprit's gun was the one pointing at my back... Objection! Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding this case. Great, so you finally come to your senses. Mr. Edgeworth! Sir, what are you saying? This has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the start. I assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that may not be the case. What do you mean? The person I ran into was just your average thief. A thief? But, sir, doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction in the facts? Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And it means that in actuality, two culprits stole into my office tonight. What do you mean two? It explains why both my shelves were disturbed twice, and how there were two guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Miss Bird and gained entry into my office. Objection! Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any actual proof, you know. If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. In the end, if you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Ugh. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me. Which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelves. This is the first time. So then... Thank you for interrupting that TV. So... It's fine. So then this would be when the files were... Okay, I'm gonna continue reading. So then this would be why the files were put back in the wrong order, right? Correct. And then, just when he was about to look somewhere else, who else should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith? Well, why Mr. Faith come into your room, sir? He probably had business with Mr. Porchman, which is why he was in the area. But that's when he noticed sounds coming from my office, would be my guess. Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right? And he must have thought it was odd, so he came into the office to check it out. Correct. And as a detective, that was the right thing to do. But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there. Because it was Mr. Portsman, Mr. Faith probably let his guard down. But Mr. Portsman was not so merciful as to let him leave alive. He waited for a chance and stole Mr. Faith's gun from him. And then... he killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. This was the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my files. Following that, Mr. Portsman wiped the gun down and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he also left a fake dying message behind. You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that? Well, if things were as simple as that, then all would be solved. However, there was yet another visitor in my room, and this is where it gets complicated. There was another visitor, sir? Yes, and this other person's objective was also to steal something from me. Now then, even after Mr. Portsman left, the door of my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, so... they stole the master key from the security guard's room, and then entered my room and searched through my shelves. This was the second time they were disturbed, and it seems the thief found their prize. The stolen zero file, right, sir? Correct. Only, just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter. So the shelves getting messed up twice and the two bullets. It was all because two different people were doing those things at two different times. Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I met was just a thief and was not in fact Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran to the other person is now irrelevant. Because we now know that the murder took place during the first culprit's visit. Objection! Ha 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 ha! What's so funny, pal? Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything. Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth after all. But, you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if, your theory is right. It would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there is still one defining point of your argument, for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor. Grr, Mr. Edgeworth, you can't let him get away with that, sir. But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point. Don't say that, sir. I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie, I'll do something if I must. You know something, I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. If the person you met really was just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory's correct. The final alibi. That thief you ran into must be your, or should be your real suspect, when you say. We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. I hate to repeat myself, but as I already said, I was training in my room. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at criminal affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left. So you think we should be out there looking for the thief? Of course! Now isn't the time to be having these dead-end discussions. I don't think it's at all dead-ended. I find your alibi to be fascinating. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. This is where that note is going to come into play again. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, he was down at criminal affairs. Hold it! Why didn't you go there with Mr. Faith? Ah, that's because he said he was tired and was going to take a quick nap. You know, those sofas in the hallway? He likes to sleep on those. It's one of his habits. And what is the evidence he brought? They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items. A gun and a pendant. Interesting. This piece of testimony seems too crucial to let slip through the cracks. He brought me 2 items. Dumbass, the message says 3 items. Objection! Only 2 pieces. I believe the proper phrase here is, you fail. Excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portsman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. What are you talking about? I haven't hidden anything from you. Well, here's a piece I think you should read. Carefully. Ah, it says that Mr. Faith was reading 3 pieces. Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portsman. I can't believe, to be tripped up by simple arithmetic. Where is the missing piece of evidence? You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face. Detective Gumshoe. You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pat the guy down from head to toe. Wait, don't come any closer. I'm warning you. This is all part of the investigation, pal, so don't even think about stopping me. No! Hey, what's this? He had this on him, sir. Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide. But why would he hide something like that? There's only one reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. Because it would unequivocally point to that person himself as the real killer. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail. For the section of the tape that would derive the last nail into his coffin. KG8 incident. That's not the important bit. Oh, hello. Ah, that's blood, isn't it? Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh. You mean this might be Detective Faith's blood? No! No! You've got it wrong! You've got it all wrong! No amount of denial can save you. We have but to run a blood test to find the truth. You told us that you received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us when and how did the victim's blood find its way into this video. Yeah, it's totally suspicious. Was it at the moment of his death? Did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personage when you killed him? You know very well there's no way to prove that. Not even if we were to examine this tape for fingerprints. Nah! If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones here would belong to the murderous you and Mr. Faith. No! Impossible!
Oh, he ate the metal.
March 14th, 5:47 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, Room 1202. Mr. Portsman has been placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Faith, sir. Very good. And the results we got back from the lab techs on tape turned out to be real solid, sir. The blood work came back and it was definitely Mr. Faith's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were also able to lift a few of Mr. Faith's prints as well. Thank you so very much, Mr. Edgeworth. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir. It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please accept my apologies. It was nothing, really. Compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky that it was only a burglary and a murder this time, sir. If it had been a hold-up or a hostage situation, I've thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person. Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail. You know something, sir. That Mr. Portsman really was one corrupt prosecutor. And why would you say he was corrupt? Well, I heard that there were a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors about how some of the evidence he uses is forged, sir. Forged evidence, huh? And they say he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons. Oh, that guy was a complete disgrace to the entire profession. We never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office. Yeah, whenever we got into that topic, he just clammed up. Although we can be pretty certain it was to steal something. This is just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes. Oh? Well, well. With Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge anything, it certainly lends credence to that rumor. It would seem that we haven't heard the last of this. Huh? That Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy? I didn't say that, but rather there are still many more mysteries for us to solve. For example, we still haven't figured out the significance to this piece of evidence. The Zero file, right?
Take that!
The person who stole this file, the other villain of the night. Yeah, I wonder who it was. And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was it that held me up at gunpoint? Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Yes? I came across this while I was processing your offices earlier, sir. This card. What is it, sir? Is that a bird or something on there? It's not just any bird. It's the mark of the raven. A three-legged raven. Even you should know what this is, detective. Oh, it's about that thing, isn't it? That great thief everyone's talking about. Yes, it's the mark of the great thief, Yatagarasu. Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yatagarasu is noble to the end. A modern Robin Hood. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yatagarasu appears and vanishes at will. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we do know the targets. The Yatagarasu likes to find and make public evidence of corrupt dealings of all sorts. The theft is always performed in silence and always with perfection. Once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is sent forth. Instead, the chosen corporation is infiltrated without even the target noticing. Some days later, the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media, along with this single card. Although it's been a while since the Yagarasu's last appearance. Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, look, something's written on the back. What? Let me see. It's the location where the thief put the stolen files. So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yatagarasu? Yatagarasu. Organization. Quite a few key words are popping up in this mystery. The murder in my office. The return of the great thief Yatagarasu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming. Or they were heralded by the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. And that is chapter 1.
Damn.
Turnabout visitor completed. That is a save. Well, we know where the next one's going to start with Turnabout Airlines. We aren't starting that yet, though. I'll get to that in the next stream. It's also when we get to see Francisca again. I wonder if they're going to make the writing better, though. But we'll find out about that later. For now, then, that'll be it for this stream. I hope everyone enjoyed watching. and hopefully I will get to hear from you guys again soon. Also, hopefully I won't have to take up the entire VC just to stream the game.
And one thing to say before this all ends, just don't do any. If you're gonna do something bad, try not to get caught.
Well, no duh, but also don't do bad things, period.